they understand the true risk of being hacked. A lot of people don't understand the size and scale of that industry. You know, it's a $10 to $12 trillion industry now. If it was a country, it would have the third largest GDP. It is an industry that hacks at scale.
Cybercrime is now a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and most businesses have no idea how vulnerable they really are. Today's guest has spent the last 26 years helping companies defend themselves against cyber attacks, improve productivity, and build stronger technology systems before disaster strikes. Tom Kirkham is the founder and CEO of Kirkham IronTech, an IT and cybersecurity company that helps organizations build secure, high-performance IT foundations through managed services, cybersecurity, and governance. In this conversation, we talk about cybersecurity, leadership, stakeholder capitalism, company culture, productivity, and why the smartest businesses stop treating IT as an expense and start treating it as a strategic advantage.
Proven tools, practical tips, all free. Subscribe at stevebreda.com/newsletter. Good day, Steve Breda here with the Management Blueprint podcast, and today's guest is Tom Kirkham, the founder and CEO of Kirkham IronTech, where he helps businesses build strong, secure IT foundations, whether fully managed, co-managed, or cybersecurity only. Tom is a keynote speaker on cybersecurity, and he's the author of 2 books, Hack the Rich and Cyber Pandemic. Tom, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be here, Steve.
Well, great to have you here, and I'm curious to dive in and would like to ask you my favorite question. What is your personal why, and how are you manifesting it in Kirkham IronTech?
That's a great question. So the company is about 26 years old. I went through a lot of personal health problems, and then my wife was real sick, and she ended up passing away it's been 11 years ago now. And I was fortunate enough to put a friend of mine in the company, and he was able to take over while I was dealing with this for a couple of years. And when most of it was done, I took some time off and did a lot of traveling and a lot of thinking and a lot of reading. And I'm a lifelong reader, a lifelong learner. And I went back through my history of investing techniques, understanding what makes a good company great. You know, if you've read Jim Collins, you know what I'm talking about. And so during those times, I was reflecting, studying philosophy, studying biographies of other CEOs like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Andy Grove. Gosh, the list goes on and on. Whether you like them or hate them, it doesn't matter, right? There's always something you can learn. And I came upon and read a lot about stakeholder capitalism. Like Peter Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I understood what that meant. And it was kind of weird. So when I re-engaged with the company, I identified one of the weaknesses. And I said, well, if we need to do marketing in this business, which is we have to do marketing in any business, I really need to master marketing. So I spent a lot of time with marketing gurus. Most of them are what I would consider household names these days, and re-engaged with the company to do marketing to establish a great culture around stakeholder capitalism. In other words, we exist as a for-profit business for not just the shareholders, but for everyone, community, vendors, employees. And I really wanted to be around people I enjoyed being around. I wanted them to enjoy coming into work. And so we've been trying to perfect that system in the culture for the past 10 years. Of course, no one's perfect, but if you pursue perfection, you can achieve excellence. And I think we've done a really good job. We have very low turnover. Everyone seems genuinely happy to be there. And it's really fulfilling. It's more of a personal feeling because I am a successful investor practically my whole adult life. I started investing in stocks when I was 19 and I'm 64 now. So I didn't really need the company. I could have just closed it up or sold it or whatever, but I really wanted to have my own reasons. Those are the things that drive me, and I hope it drives everyone else.
What resonated with you with this idea of stakeholder capitalism?
It just made sense. The obvious thing with employees, all of that's true. That's obvious to any good leader or manager, right? As you well know, there's a difference between leadership and management, and understanding that distinction, and the difference between sales and marketing and understanding those things. A good example is dealing with vendors. There's all sorts of vendors that supply products and services to us. So we carefully vet these tools and vendors to see if their values align with ours, just like we do with prospects. But especially with vendors, is if it's something new, it's a new tool that we've got to really invest time, money, and energy into making their product or service successful for us and successful for them. We make a commitment to that vendor. So it's not about the money and how cheap I can get it. What I want is a good partnership with every stakeholder. And I want to make sure when I'm dealing with a vendor that if it fails for us, that it's not our fault, it's their fault, right? You know, either they oversold the product or they didn't deliver on the service component. I didn't want it to be because we didn't do the right training and we didn't communicate and all of these other things that are just part of doing business the right way. And it happens to our employees, our local community, and every stakeholder in the company.
Yeah, I like it. So you're looking for partnership-based relationships where it's a win-win. And yeah, I mean, if you want them to stick around, it has to make sense for them too. You can't exploit your partners unpunished over time. So that makes a lot of sense. So Tom, let me ask you this other question. So this podcast is called The Management Blueprint. The reason being is I'm always mining for frameworks and brainstorming with my guests on something that helped their business to achieve a result. So typically it's a 3 to 5 step process that helps you grow the business, get customers, or do something better, or understand something at a deeper level. What comes up to you if I talk about your favorite business framework?
Well, we have a thing we call the IronTech Framework.
Okay.
And it was something that we came up with many years ago and started practicing 7 or 8 years ago. And it's a framework. It's like the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. You know, I look at NIST and there's 5 components to it and it's about cybersecurity. And I looked at this and I go, none of this works without the right policies and procedures in place. You know, the security training, it's not enough just to throw it out there and tell all your people to take it. You've got to follow up, you've got to management and coach and everything like that. And so I started adding this governance component to the way we sold it, presented it, and practiced what we do for our clients day in and day out. Help them develop the policies and procedures for all of the different things, the protocols. You know, if somebody accidentally fires off a ransomware attack, they need to know they're not going to be penalized for it. We need to know as soon as possible to stop it. And just little things like that there's a lot that really improve the effectiveness of all of these tools and services that we provide to their clients. And unbeknownst to me, NIST, who has the cybersecurity framework, they added governance about 3 years ago to the other 5 things. And so that was kind of nice to know that we were, you know, exhibiting some thought leadership. And so when we go in, you know, it's all well and good if you want to put these protections in and these particular products, but we're a best of breed company. Like one of our critical tools that's required for our clients to put in place, you know, to buy it and use it every single day on every single computer is what's known as an EDR. And it's basically an AI-based super turbo antivirus. They even call it an antivirus is not doing it justice. So there's 3 legs to the IronTech framework.
Okay.
We want to make sure that you're getting a return on your investment in IT because that's why you buy it. If you treat IT as an expense, you need to kind of change the way you're thinking. You want to improve productivity and efficiency. The second leg is cybersecurity because a bad cyber attack can put you out of business. I think the last stats I saw were something like 40 to 60% of businesses go out of business within 2 years of a significant cyber attack. And then finally, the third is governance. That's the 3 legs of our IronTech framework. So part of governance is engaging with our clients' management and leadership, the CEO, finance, of course, the CIO, the CISO or the security officer, and maybe even the board sometimes, really getting to know what are your objectives and how can we utilize our services to best help your company realize your objectives. Because for most companies, they have no other vendor they engage with us as much as any other vendor. We're talking to Susie every day. We're talking to Bill every day. We know that Mary's out sick and Steve's on vacation. I mean, that relationship, when you're running help desk and stopping attacks and providing training and all of the support that we provide along those lines, we get to know their company better than practically any other vendor, by far. So it really helps if our clients treat us as a partner to help them realize their goals and objectives. And that's when all of that clicks into place, then it makes recommending, okay, you need to replace these 30 laptops that are 4 years old. You're not getting an ROI on that. this server's 5 years old. Let's start thinking about this.
Mm.
We have this new tool that's really excellent. We're recommending everybody get it. And those conversations, because we develop the trust, those conversations become, okay, for the most part, everybody just says yes.
Yeah.
But of course, we don't sell just to sell, especially when it comes to things like hardware. That's not really what we're here for. We're here for the day in, day out. Keep it running, stop breaches, and put the policies and procedures in place to run your company as smooth as we possibly can.
Yeah, I love that. So when I had an IT back in the 2000s, I had an IT person who was a contractor, but he was very active with my business. And I always want to talk to him and pick his brains. What are the new things out there? How can we make our business more efficient, more effective, more attractive to employees, cooler? I want to be cool. So I wanted everyone to have a PDA in early 2000s with email on it, Palm Pilot, and we had the multiple screens. And I was looking at, okay, how can we manage the data in the cloud, our server, so that we don't have to deal with it in the office, this kind of stuff. And I really thought about it. That's a really good investment because much cheaper than hiring people. And if you give them good tools, they get to be more motivated and more effective. And I thought it was a no-brainer.
Yes, but there's still a subset of people that treat it as an expense. Then there are some companies that have a tendency to put IT under the finance guy because the finance guy usually has a lot of IT experience, but never did it as a career or a job, right? And those are hard because I need to have the CEO level or the owner level of approval, and I need a direct route to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Tom, tell me, what drives growth in your business?
Yeah, from a growth perspective, for us, number one is to maintain our clients, reduce churn. Number two is, I don't know if you're asking about the tactics or strategy, but we want to get new clients, of course, for the right reasons. So we prefer inbound strategies. We don't cold call people unless we've already contacted them in another way, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm asking what is the driver of the growth? I understand that you do marketing, inbound marketing, but what makes people want to have an IT service partner like you?
Well, they understand what those three pillars of the IronTech framework. They may not believe in stakeholder capitalism, but they don't treat it as an expense. And they understand, especially after talking to me, they understand the true risk of being hacked.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't understand the size and scale of that industry. It's a $10 to $12 trillion industry now.
Wow.
If it was a country, it would have the third largest GDP. The U.S. first, China second, and then the hacking industry. It is an industry that hacks at scale. So when these companies, maybe a small 10-person accounting firm in North Dakota, in the middle of nowhere, they get these ransomware emails. And they try to hack them, and we alert, and we trap it. Nothing goes wrong. Everything's fine. And if they don't already know, they go, well, why are they trying to hack me? And I said, you don't understand. That email was one of 100,000 emails that got blasted out. They don't know who you are, nor do they care who you are. They're playing a numbers game. And it's kind of like marketing. They're looking at conversion numbers.
Yeah.
Let's say it is 100,000 emails. They got a list of all of certified public accountants in 10 different states. They set up the email, they send it all out, and let's say 1% becomes victims. And let's say they collect an average of $10,000 a victim. Well, that's a multi-million-dollar payday for about a week or two of work. Mm-hmm. And then they rinse and repeat. It's done at scale. And it's a much bigger industry than that. That's just a taste of it. Mm-hmm. Some of our clients are targeted. In other words, hackers are investing time, money, and energy. Specifically this company, we're one of them. Any law firm that does intellectual property law, especially if it's around patents, manufacturing, and things like that. You've got China and other nation states. They're not only trying to get into your client, but you're a threat vector. You're a way to get into that client's patents and secrets. So we've got to treat that a different way. It's not just about the money. Now, there's different types of threat actors, and, we have to educate them, bring them up to speed, and say, well, because of this case, you need this other service and tool that we're offering to prevent China from breaking in. Mm-hmm. Or you need to do this practice. Maybe you don't talk about one of your clients as, say, Ford Motor Company or NVIDIA. You just keep that quiet. You don't want that to be public knowledge. That's one of the things that we do. You spent time on our website. You did not see a single client name on there. And that's just one of the small things that we do to protect our clients' security and privacy, because privacy and security go hand in hand.
Yeah. That is fascinating. So what is it that you're trying to figure out in your business right now? What's the big thing for you?
I think because of all the chaos in the United States, making a decision to do anything, everybody's kind of frozen.
Mhm.
There's a lot of hiring freezes. I know that we've got a freeze on right now because we're looking to see, well, do we really need to add somebody or can we do this with AI? The hackers do the same thing. That's one of the challenges, is to get people over the hump. You know, no matter what you do, if you've got an IT company that's doing your stuff and you only call them when things are broken, there's a much more profitable way to do that. You're spending more money. So there's benchmarks in industries, right? So basically the research isn't numbers we made up. This is legitimate research from many different sources, independent sources, that says the average professional service provider, like law firms and accounting, healthcare providers, and on and on and on, should be spending 6 to 12% of their revenue on IT cybersecurity. And that's everything. I'm talking servers, wiring, cloud, security, defense, all of those things should be 6 to 12%. We know that. That's the way it works. So when we engage with the prospect and we find out that they're only spending 3 or 4%, then I already know they've gaps. I don't even have to do an assessment to see what they're not doing. That's either not providing a return on investment or they're not secure. That's it. If all of the accountants are spending only 6%, all the firms are only spending 6%, and you're only spent and you're 4, don't just pat yourself on the back. That's one of those things you go, what am I missing? Because I do that often. Someone in the office, especially on the management team, will come up with an idea and we're all in agreement. Well, that's a red flag for me. I want to know, what are we missing? If we're all in agreement on this, is there something there that's a gotcha or something that we haven't uncovered? And that's some of the things that we try to educate our clients with. They don't have to tell us what the revenue is. I can give them the numbers. They can do the math. I can give them the numbers for what a laptop replacement, say it's, I don't know, it depends on the industry, but usually $1,000, $3,000, somewhere in there. If the person using it is making $100,000 a year, why are you trying to milk another year out of this $2,000 investment that is hitting productivity by 10% or more?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, it's not just in IT. I had a client years ago, which was in civil engineering, and they had a rule that they would not keep any equipment that was more than 4 years old. And they sold equipment that looked like new. And I asked them, why are you doing this? This seems to have still a lot of life on it. Why are you selling or giving it back to the lease? And he said, we did the math and we figured out that this is the optimal time. If we get rid of that equipment, we will not have to deal with fixing it. There will be less disruption. We will be state of the art all the time. Our client's going to be impressed. And it actually works for us. And it was a high margin civil engineering firm.
Precisely. I mean, we're so tuned into that we're a Mac house. We all use Macs. We all have laptops and we all have Macs, and we got setups with screens at home and in the office. We spare no expense on that. If somebody wants an extra screen for their house, all right, here it is. We'll get it ordered and get it here for you. We're so tuned into that is we went all Mac when it was Intel Macs. And I don't know if you know much about Macs, but they were...
I have a couple. Yeah, we are Mac people too.
Yeah, so they were running Intel processors. Well, Apple decided to build their own processor and went to the M chip. And so I bought an M1, and it was like, holy cow, everybody in the company's got to have one of these. And I don't think there was one more than 2 years old at that time. So we replaced them all. Now, the M series over themselves, M1, M2, M3, and on.
M7 now, isn't it?
Those generational changes aren't as dramatic as going from Intel to the first M series chip, but it's still unusual. I said 2 years, but there's probably people right now that have a 3-year-old laptop, but we definitely trade them in. That's where the sweet spot is on trade-in value. We rotate them 2 to 3 years, and they're out. I think mine is maybe a year old, but I usually do mine. I'll probably keep this one for a couple of years, I'm thinking.
By the way, you're the first IT company MSP that I met who doesn't use PCs, we use Macs. And I long had this theory that, and all my IT companies they were promoting always, they were anti-Mac, and I never understood why. And when I got my first Mac, I realized that actually I didn't need them anymore since I had the Mac.
That's kind of funny because it really started with me and COVID. It may not have been 7 years now, but whatever it was, it kind of started with COVID. And for years, I was a PC guy. I tried briefly back in the old MacBook with the white plastic ones, those, whatever that's been 15 or more years ago.
Classic, Mac classic.
Yeah, but what I kept trying to do with the Windows laptop, and I like Dell. I had Dell XPSs or good Dell computers, and we're a Dell partner. What I couldn't get a Windows computer to do is to seamlessly come off of a docking station and then plug into another monitor at my house. It would always blue screen, or so when I went back to a Mac, I go, holy cow, it doesn't break. It doesn't mind being unplugged from a docking station. It just works.
Yeah.
And then all the other things that they're generally built better and they have a longer lifespan and they keep resale values longer and all of that. Even as old as I was, I forced myself to really get proficient at using a Mac. And when we sent everybody home during COVID, I said, well, everybody's going Mac. And there was a revolt. And I said, just give it a few months.
Yeah.
About half the office. And I said, you got to try it because I think you'll like it. And if you don't, then we'll take care of it then. We had Linux people, PC people. So then I said, well, maybe we should open it up and let you pick what you want.
Yeah, I love it. So our time is coming to an end. But if someone is running on Mac and they are finally talking to an IT service company who is not anti-Mac and they want to get with you immediately, where should they go and where can they learn more about Kirkham IronTech and maybe personally connect?
The website is the best place to go. It's Kirkham IronTech, and Kirkham is spelled Kirkham, KirkhamIronTech.com. Just give us a call, fill out a form, let us know what you're thinking, because we want to know what you're thinking and see if there's a fit with the way that we do things. Mac started becoming important with executives. That's where we started seeing it. So even though they have to run Windows, the owners and the executives wanted to carry Macs for the very reasons I said. So we're perfectly happy with that.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So if you're listening to this and you enjoyed hearing about how to make your IT work, so increase the ROI, making sure you are doing cyber right, and governance, so you're using IT as a strategic tool to run your business better, then definitely reach out to Tom Kirkham or stay tuned on this show because you're going to get other entrepreneurs who are very smart with their business and preferably do both. Tom, thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom, and thank you for listening.
No, it's been my pleasure, Steve.
I appreciate you listening today. Stay connected. Sign up for my free weekly newsletter at steveprieto.com/newsletter.